almost there. We decided to do this event together. So the whole PyLadies Amsterdam team is here. That's why we're just checking the last settings with some hiccups with the stream, but we want to make sure that we're not losing the video record. And just want to make sure, so just raise your hands if you like hearing me okay, if the sound is normal, just to make sure that everything is working. Yes, okay, I see some hands popping up. Fantastic. Okay, it looks like we're working. Okay, just the last question to... Okay, so then let's start. As I mentioned today, those who are the first time with us, we are PyLadies Amsterdam, but saying we, I'm referring to myself, Una, there's also Julia. Julia, if you... yeah, you're also here. Hello, so the whole team is here. So who we are, what we usually do, we are part of global nonprofits, basically with the idea to spread the love of Python. We are open for anyone interested in working with Python with different topics, but our goal usually to give podium, which means the seat of the workshop giver or the seat of Python open source contributor to, let's say, less fortunate folks or to more underrepresented folks in the tech. And it's really still a huge group. Unfortunately, that's we want to make slightly better. So just the last thing, just a second. Fantastic, sorry. So our usual workshops, our usual events are workshops, which we run online or hybrid, or sometimes just even in person if we're not allowed to record it. And today we are part of something bigger than even us. And today the name is Global AI Bootcamp. So I just want to explain you a bit what is Global AI Bootcamp, and then we will walk to the next step, which would be a basic explanation of the 3 workshops that you can choose from. Then we continue with Stretch, who is going to do which workshop, and based on that, we're going to distribute an access to Azure if you don't have your own Azure subscription. But just what I want to mention, by running the different workshops, all 3 of them, they basically, those that require Azure subscription doesn't recur like really highly cost. So I would say €1-2 and you're good to go. Unless you're not gonna remove the things and you can still keep the things running, but we're gonna remind you about that. So the Global AI Bootcamp means that it's events that happens at the same time all over the world. This year, it happens during 2 months. March and April. We are happy that we are, let's say, in the beginning. So we're starting with March, with the start of the March. And we want to spread the love of AI. We want to spread the love of Python and even SQL. And you'll see more stuff going to pop up today. What's beautiful about Global AI Bootcamps is that we get provisioned when possible with Azure credits, which is really nice. So allow you to try out, outside of, let's say, your comfort zone, if you want to say something like this. And at the same time, it allows you to probably try something new, explore something new that you never tried before, while keeping in mind that the whole workshop is your safe space. There is no stupid questions. If something doesn't work, it's okay. It's okay to share the errors you're running into, because the more clear you describe as the errors you're facing during the execution of the workshop, and I'm pretty sure there will be some errors, of course, here and there, the better we can assist you with. So now I'm going to the our repository. I'm going to share my screen. So let's check and make sure that it's working as expected. So I'm given a permission to share, yes, the screen. So now I guess that's what you see, if everything is good. So where I expect to see you is basically in the, in this repository. I will just copy it for now and put it into the Zoom. Or can I ask Julia to put it, basically to copy the repository and just put it there? And then I want to point to the most important pieces of this repository. Okay, so we just shared the link once again for you within the Zoom. So you can click directly and open it. So as it's a global event, it means that there would be always a keynote. So the keynote is approximately 30 minutes long. By default, we expect it to play it. I would say 30 minutes too long. So what we're going to do is basically provide you with a link and description, what is expected in this keynote. And if you're clicking on the link here, it redirects you to the keynote. And what's really beautiful about that, you can watch it in different languages. Maybe if you don't watch it in English, you can have access to different languages. I highly recommend to watch it. Why? Because there is one very, very special person in this record, and this person is Guido van Rossum, who is creator of Python language, which is, like, I guess, really, really nice to listen to and to see what all the development of AI will guide you to and lead you to in the future. So with this being said, feel free to get back to this keynote and watch it in your time. And now we're getting to the meat of this whole event. There are workshops. So what we're going to do now, I will briefly give you a description of each workshop, explaining the level, the set resources required to run this workshop. And then I will give you some thinking time about basically which workshop to pick up. So as soon as you pick up the workshop, depends on the workshop, of course, you can continue with it. And then if Azure credits are required for that, then I will explain to you what we're going to do next. So as I mentioned, we have 3 workshops. The workshop number 1, it's the most simple workshop from all. It doesn't require any coding experience. It's basically, if you're capable of writing human readable text, then you're good to go with this workshop. Although it required 2 things, it required you having your GitHub account. I suppose you have it if you already have, the Git installed and you pull in repositories and maybe do some other cool stuff, maybe contributing to open source as well from here and there. So for workshop number 1, you will need to have your GitHub account. And second step, what you will need to have, you need to have a Copilot. So to get Microsoft Copilot, please do not confuse it with GitHub Copilot. We're talking right now about Microsoft Copilot. The more information will be as well. For this one, if you don't have it, you can register for free. No credits needed, and it would be enough for you. There is no costs that's going to be incurred during this workshop for you. So what is about getting to know what does it mean to interact with different, not just LLMs, but more powerful models, which are capable not just handling the text, but capable of handling text, images, audio. And the whole workshop is basically opening 2 windows, one window with GitHub models, another window with Microsoft Copilot, and then following the instructions that you will see below. So if you're interested in doing this workshop, once again, no Azure subscription is needed for this workshop, just your GitHub account, which will lead you to play around with GitHub models. And then you only need to register for Microsoft Copilot. If you don't have it, it's free of charge. And then if you don't need it anymore, you can delete your account as well. Although it's very fun to play around with it. So if you're interested in doing this workshop, nothing else you need from us. You just need to click on these links, which you said, go to the workshop, and it's walking you step by step through, let's say, things that you get from this workshop and what you get from it. So like a quick thing, what you're going to work with, you will start with text generation and exploration of basic prompt, let's say prompt creation techniques. And then you will go through the image generation, and then we use multimodal, is like creating images, uploading images, asking it to get you back with some specific descriptions. So you will see all the creativity in action with this workshop. Once again, no Azure subscription required. If you're interested in this, you are good to go. Okay, so now we are moving to the workshop number 2. Workshop number 2 is about building your first AI agent with a managed service provided by Azure, which is called Azure AI Agent Service. I would like to point out that this feature is, so this service is not in GA yet. What does it mean? That it's still experimental. It still has a lot of room to grow. And basically, you are here as a pioneer. You can try to deep dive in it and explore it. So what do you need to run this workshop? First of all, the basic understanding of like reading, what's in the code, trying to understand the components of the code, trying to understand how the specific components are bundled together. And this workshop is asking you to follow a specific set of instructions. And to run this workshop, to simplify the setup, you're going to use GitHub Codespaces, which is a really nice setup because for this one, it's basically spin ups like a cloud, let's say Visual Studio Code on your behalf, which means you don't need to install anything on your local machine, which is really nice. You're doing everything, let's say, online. It has everything for you already provisioned. And then you will need Azure subscription to do it. So if you're interested in doing workshop 2, I would say probably I try all of them. That was the hardest one. The hardest one in the sense of simple with instruction, but it's a lot of information. It's a lot of interesting concept that you can go through it. That's why it's the longest workshop as well. So for those who are interested in workshop 2, you can go and start with this workshop, what is really, really important. When you're going to go through it, so here you have instructions how to get access to Azure subscription. Please do not follow this instruction. We will provide you with a new one. Like, sorry about that. The Global AI community who provided this workshop, we're really thankful them for this workshop. It's like we didn't have time to update this tiny part. So just a thing, if you follow in workshop number 2, and if you want to build an AI agent, which basically try to interact, it's also some kind of chatbot, which try to interact with user, but it also fetches specific tools, performs specific actions. It takes your text, transform it in SQL codes, and it runs the SQL to the database and do a lot of magic. And there are even more things to that. You will see more and more things. So for this workshop, just like a summary, you can go to it, you can start with it. You follow instruction, except you ignore set up access to an Azure subscription, because it would be slightly different this time. But you can fully go with GitHub Codespaces. How to use GitHub Codespaces? You have to be logged into your GitHub account. And from that, by clicking on Open GitHub Codespaces, it will start and do everything for you. And it's going to take approximately from 8 to 10 minutes. So in this case, if you will be interested with this workshop, you can start with it. And then we'll provide you with instructions on how to get an Azure subscription. So just for you to understand, so if you're interested in workshop 2, you don't need Azure subscription credentials immediately. You can just start with opening GitHub Codespaces, following the instructions. If you forget something, feel free to raise your hands. We will be here to guide you. Okay, so that was workshop number 2. As I mentioned, this is the most, let's say, time-consuming the workshop. An Azure subscription, if you have your own, then you can just continue. If you have any issues or you run into some quota related things, then you can get back to us. We'll see what we can do together. That's it for that part. So if you want to have workshop 2, if you want to follow it, you can start following the instructions, except ignoring for now instructions how to get Azure passes. We'll provide you with them later, and you can start with the GitHub Codespaces, because it's going to take approximately from 8 to 10 minutes to set up an environment for you. And now the workshop number 3, which is really interesting. So workshop number 3 basically doesn't have any Python in it. What you're going to use, Bash shell and pgadmin, and you're going to write some SQL, or you're going to just go through SQL and trying to grasp and understand concept. So this is an Azure PostgreSQL flexible server. We're gonna get back to the questions in a minute. Okay, I will just want to finish the workshop 3, and then we'll get back to your questions. Thanks. So workshop 3 is about setting up spinning up and basically the Azure PostgreSQL flexible server instance, and then activating specific set of AI-driven features in it, which create or add in a powerful RAG capability with different type of search, with different type of retrieval for you. So for this workshop, you will require Azure subscription. You also will require to install pgadmin on your laptop. So I would say for here, you can continue with instructions. It starts with basically, it redirects you to another GitHub repository. And from the redirected GitHub repository, you have a set of instructions, and it started with part 0, deploy the resources in Azure subscriptions. So for this workshop, for now, you will need Azure credits. Those who need Azure credits for workshop 3, we will tell you what to do in a couple of minutes. But you cannot start, let's say, this workshop without Azure. However, what you can do in the meantime, if you want, there is instruction on setting up. Let me just check. I think it would be faster to, setting a PG, basically setting the PG admin. Yes, so there is a place, so it's instruction number. So if you can navigate to setting up PG admin and just scroll to the, you will need to install PG admin first, which means that you have to install PG admin locally on your machine. To interact with it, it supports different operation system. So if you go there, you see it gives you all options. You want to write a container, do it. You want like install it this or this way. Windows, all options are possible. But you, let's say, supposed to have pgadmin if you don't have it on your laptop. In this case, it would be the pgadmin is free of charge. You just install it, and then based on the instructions, you're going to connect to it, and the whole interactions with this database would be performed first via shell, was all set up and populating the database with some data, and the second step would be basically interacting via pgadmin. So just to make sure that we are keeping track of the time, we want you to make sure that you're going to download this PG admin. So now I will get back. I quickly summarize all 3 workshops again for you, so it will be easier for you to make a choice. And then but first I'm going to answer the question. So the question is Codespaces a paid for service? So by default, it has a free quota. So if you've never used it at all, it would be free of charge for you to use. There is like pretty decent amount of compute available for you, also like RAM allocation. I guess if you already have a user of it, then could be some costs. But for this specific workshop, the instance that you're going to run is pretty, let's say, slim. So it's not like you're going to spin up, like huge cluster or something. It would be really, really like small one. And I guess it's only like 8 gigabytes or something. Oh, sorry, not 8 gigabytes. I don't remember. I need to double check. But let's say for the workshop, I have Codespaces. So I created, when I needed to test it on my own, so I created completely new accounts. I ran it, and it's basically even didn't consume, let's say, the 5% of the quota or something like this. And I ran it 3 or 4 times because there were some glitches, so I want to double check that everything works fine. So at least, even though you don't have maybe one account, it's okay to create the new account. But keep in mind, it means that you have to create the new one for if you have a user and if you want the new one, if you want to use the free of charge quota. And then for the rest of the pricing is really depends on which license for GitHub you have. If it's GitHub Enterprise, it would be one pricing. If it would be, let's say, as an end user, it would be different type of pricing. Okay, so let's summarize. We have 3 workshops. We have Keynote. Keynote you can watch later on your own path. Then we have 3 workshops. Workshop number 1 means you have 0 experience working with or calling specific API endpoints. So in this case, you're provided with 2 graphical user interfaces, which you're going to use, and it's basically only interacting using images or text, nothing else. So no coding experience required for that. For this workshop, no Azure subscription needed. You use your GitHub subscription. It's going to redirect you to GitHub Models and GitHub Models Playground. And the second one, you need a Microsoft Copilot. If you don't have it, you can register free of charge. And then if you don't need it, at the end, you can remove it. But it's not going to incur any cost for you during this workshop. So if you're a complete beginner, if you want to try to play around with, to see the capabilities of these powerful models, that's what you can do. Workshop number 2, you're gonna work with Azure AI Agent Services. For this, you need GitHub Codespaces, which for now, if you're just starting trying it, it would be free of charge for you. And then you will need Azure credits. So if you want to work with Workshop 2, I guess it would be much more easier if you just reach out to me. So my user in Zoom is Una, and just sending me DM saying Workshop 2 needs Azure credits. Okay, so this is for Workshop 2. And by the way, you can start following instructions for Workshop 2, because GitHub Codespaces setup of your environment gonna require some time. It's just basically for your idle waiting time. So then we can provide you with Azure credits. And then workshop number 3, it's building a rack with PostgreSQL. For this workshop, you do need an Azure credits. And for this workshop, you need to install PG admin. So again, just reach to me via Zoom, via direct message, and set workshop 3 Azure credits. So basically what I'm gonna right now do, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and together with Julia, we're gonna monitor what's happening on Zoom. And if there are any requests for Azure credits gonna pop up, then I will basically unmute myself, and then I will give you instructions. And they're not really hard, they're pretty simple one, which you need just to follow to get the credits to run these workshops. So I think it's a lot of words. I wish you success. The thing is, regarding Azure credits, if you will be provided Azure credits for these workshops, these credits will be only valid today until the end of the day, which means that tomorrow they already would be, let's say, nullified. So in this case, the idea that you just use the credits specifically for the workshops. Yeah, I guess that's it. So for now, I'm stopping sharing my screen. And then, so now it's stopped. So for now, yeah, okay, great. So the thing is, I will reply to you, and I will reply to you via direct messages, okay? So I see there is a message from Jan. I would kindly ask you to redirect this message to me personally. So in this way, I can support you, okay? Fantastic. So it's gonna take some time. So for now, what I'm gonna send you the link. Workshop 3, workshop 2, I would say the link would be the same. This link would redirect you to the Azure portal. If you don't have your Azure subscription yet, it will ask you to create the new Azure subscription. If you already have an Azure subscription, it still will redirect you to the place where you can be provided with this. So today we're working with a concept which is called Azure Classroom. So it will not be just subscriptions free of charge given to you. It would be, let's say, controlled environment where you can get an access, where you can, under our guidance, basically run the workshops. Okay, so now what I'm doing, so I see some messages pop up. Let me go through these messages, and then we will continue. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so remember, I'm not gonna answer you publicly. I will only go with a direct message. And thank you for understanding, because as you know, we're streaming all this for YouTube, and we just want to make sure that the credits are used specifically for the purpose of the workshop. And we're really thankful that we got these credits. So we continue with that. Okay, so now I'm starting with answering your direct messages. Okay, fantastic. Okay, let me get through it. Okay. So I will mute myself for a second, so you have some calm time, and then I will start answering your requests. Yeah, I think I get fantastic suggestion from Julia. Julia, thank you. So in case you're just waiting, so in case you're working for workshop 2, you can start setting up a GitHub, at least GitHub Codespace, so it's running for now. In case you are running workshop 3, you still can install PG admin for now. Still, also it's going to run on the background for you. And then if you don't want to do this or you have already everything installed, you can just watch the keynote in the meantime. Okay, so I will try to reply to you as fast as possible. Okay, thanks. I just want to mention, I see there are some new people. So those who just join us, please follow the link to the GitHub repository. I will a little bit later recap what's going on. For now, you need to go to this GitHub. Then you need to check 3 workshops of your choice. There are more information about the workshops provided. And if you go with workshop 2 or 3, and you need Azure credits for that, drop me, I'm Una, PyLadies Amsterdam, in the Zoom call. So drop me a direct message saying number of the workshop and Azure credits. So that's for those who just join us, okay? So then you know, okay. Now I'm muting myself and then focusing on the distributing credentials. Okay, so I tried to answer all the messages. Please let me know if some of you didn't get it. So just to make sure that I didn't miss any one of you. So in case I miss you, please raise your hand so I can locate your message. Okay, just in case you didn't receive anything from me right now, please do that. So at least I see that I missed someone. Oh, I just found that probably the person that I missed, so I'm sending the instructions. Okay, just let me know if you send me the direct message and I did reply to you. Please let me know. Sorry, I don't want to miss you, just in case. So the following information is only valid for those who requested Azure credits at our site. You received the instructions. Please follow these instructions. Basically, if you have any questions, just send me a direct message, okay? Let's do the following way. Fantastic. And also, I think I totally forgot to mention, so what we're going to do for the time allocated. So in case you're working with a workshop, you have any issues, you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. If you are open to share things you run into with the whole audience, you can just unmute yourself and ask this question. It's completely okay to do that if you feel comfortable. If don't, it's still okay. Just send me a direct message, and we're gonna help you to troubleshoot it. Okay. Okay. I just got a new request for Azure credits, so I'm just replying to. Okay. Let's see how it goes. I mute myself for a second. So there is a question. Okay, I will ask it. I see it as direct message. But I think if you don't mind, so there is a question that arrived to me via direct, but I think it's question valid for everyone. So the question is, do we need to use a work email for the Microsoft Copilot? As far as I know, don't. No. So it should be done. Okay. So I see some people starting getting the good. Okay, let's see. If you send something to me, I'm not replying, feel free to bump the message again. Okay, so just to make sure there are a lot of messages, they just flow in. So just to make sure that it works. I will mute myself for a second. So there is a question. Again, it's come to me via direct message, but I will reply to you because it doesn't have any, like personal local information. So for those who get Azure credits from us, from Global AI community, there is a moment when you accept the subscription which asks you to fill the tax. So for now, you can just skip this. So otherwise, you can set like following workshop 3. It's just basically tax help you to manage your costs later. So you can filter by tax and see what projects you're running. For this case, for this lab, if you're given the credits, so you can just skip the tax point. There is also a question from Mariana. I will get back to you in a minute. Just let me answer a couple of things, okay, for now? Okay, so there is also one question from some folks who follow in workshop 3. So if you follow in workshop 3 and you requested Azure credits with us, I ask you first to install PG admin, and now you just need to get credits. So I will check whether I send you instructions or not how to redeem these credits, okay? So that's only, I get some questions from people running the workshop 3. It's okay, you have instructions, you're following them. I jumped a little bit because I thought we can use this installation time for pgadmin now. So yeah, now we get to you with Azure credits. Another thing, so what is really important, I get this, I also, although it came to me as direct message, I think it's okay to share it. You can sign up for Copilot Studio using a personal mail address. The thing is, we do not sign for Copilot Studio, we are signing up for Microsoft Copilot. So we're not talking about GitHub Copilot Studio, we're talking about Microsoft Copilot. So please check that. We only talking right now about Microsoft Copilot. And if you're following the instructions, it will lead you directly to Microsoft Copilot, not to GitHub Copilot. Sorry for confusion. It sounds like a bit. What's the difference? GitHub Copilot is specifically created as a helper for GitHub to write code like faster or populate code or like help you with debugging, testing, documentation. That's its functionality. And if we're talking about Microsoft Copilot, it's a much more broader. It's basically the interactive. It's a multimodal model behind that, so you can interact with that. You can ask to write the text and the messages, just to make sure there is a difference. Sorry, I know it's confusing. The names are confusing. Okay, I get some folks already getting in. I see already some of you then. So if you get stuck somewhere, it's okay. Just let us know. So I will now mention some information. I see new participants joined us, so I just walk them quickly about what we are doing here, okay? So I see some folks just joined us. So what's happening? You are going to Global AI Bootcamp. Global AI Bootcamp, sorry, you go into the GitHub. The link was just provided in the chat. Thanks, Julia, just provided links again. You go into the GitHub. On a GitHub page repository, you have information about the event, you have information about where to watch the keynote, and you have 3 workshops of your choice. Workshop 1 doesn't require Azure subscriptions, so if you want to try this workshop, you have the duration described of more information about the workshop. Then you just click, go to the workshop, and you follow the instructions. That's it. So if you are going to work with workshop 2 or workshop 3, for this, you need Azure subscription. So you can go first or with your own Azure subscription if you have it already. If you have any questions, feel free to get back to us. If you need an Azure subscription, so please write a direct message in Zoom to me. I'm Una, PyLadies Amsterdam. So just write to me a direct message saying workshop, number of workshop, need Azure credits. So just in case, that's for those who just joined. Sorry, I saw there are some new folks joined, so to prevent confusion. That's what we're doing right now. Thanks, that's really good idea. So I got a question from the folks who work in this workshop number 3 regarding PG admin installation. Sorry, also answer it slightly faster. Which version of PG admin you need to download? This is a really good question. Let me double check. Is there any specificity? Otherwise, I will get back to you via direct message, okay? Okay, question regarding PG admin is still pending. I will get back to you. For now, so for those who are, okay, for those who are, let me check. Sorry, get confused, got a little bit message, go back to you with answers, okay? Just give me a couple of minutes. Thanks. Okay, folks, there are still 2 questions pending for me. I can get back to you in a second for them. So I didn't forget about you. There are 2 of you still. Sorry for waiting time. Okay, and just a second. Let's do the following. So for now, I'm finalizing things with your Azure subscription. There are still people who are requesting it. And then let's do the following. To increase efficiency, I think if you're open to send your question just to public chat, then Julia also can help with it. So at least then 2 people are going to look at your messages rather than, let's say, one person going through all 40 messages at the same time. I think would be more efficient. So we see if Julia can help, she's going to help. If not, she's going to bounce it back to me. Okay, let's do the following. So I just want to say, so for those who run in workshop 3, if you started backwards, if you started first setting up pgadmin, you just need to install pgadmin, but don't do any other stuff yet. So just install it, open it, and that's it. So then you need to follow the instructions from the start, because you're gonna deploy specific resources on Azure subscription, which you was given, or you using in case you're using your own. And then when you create all of that, then the instructions will guide you through basically going through the setting up connection from your pgadmin to the database that you created using shell, and then to the database. It would be populated with information using shell, and after that you're going to connect to the database via pgadmin, and pgadmin is basically like visual representation and visual interface where you can run queries. So that's the thing. So I guess it answers your question. That's for folks from option number 3. Then for folks who doesn't have their own Azure subscription, and you requested an Azure subscription with us and running into any issues. So what I want to know, I get some messages that for those who are running workshop 2, there were issues with authentication. So for this one, I'm checking right now if you was given Azure subscription, if everything went fine, and I will get back to you. That's the only thing that I will answer directly, because I'm checking right now whether I see your subscription or not. Okay? Put the link. Just a second. So the thing is, so for those, it's information only for those who requested Azure credits by us. So I was sending you instructions. The instructions basically were providing you with a link. This link was redirecting you to the Azure portal. And then whether you have already your own Azure subscription, then it was just redirecting you to Education Lab. And if you don't have an Azure subscription, it was asking you to get to sign up for Azure, and then it was redirecting you to this some kind of educational lab. This educational lab was asking you to enter the code. The code was sent to you. So after that, we were getting requests from your site. We were basically receiving instruction that the student joined we were approving your application, and after that, you have to get an email on the email that you used for registration for Azure. Because if you have a bunch of emails, make sure that you're using the correct email. You should get an email sending accept Azure subscription or something like that. So I see a bunch of people who are running workshop 2 facing issues while trying to follow the workshop instructions and trying to authenticate using as login. And this is happening because I checked based on the information provided. You still didn't confirm that you got the Azure subscription. So sorry, there is like so many steps, but that's the way how you can get in a safe way this Azure credits for the workshops. So you get the link, you follow the link, you logged into Azure portal or you sign up for Azure portal, you enter the code, and after that, as soon as your code was approved, I'm checking constantly to make sure that we not left someone out. After that, please check your email, which was used for the registration. There should, let's say, come to you the story with accept Azure subscription. So in this case, now after that, you can continue walking forward. And that's the reason why why you are not able to do Azure login. And it says basically the error said you don't have subscription, or it says just a second, I'm just checking the answer. So basically, you get an issue with authentication. It says the subscription is not there, or something like that. Yes, it's true indeed, because you are not, let's say, you don't get it, like you didn't confirm the subscription yet. So it's a bit of steps, of course, but yeah, this is way how we can get this resource. So there was a question. If I may, I will do this. I answer it was publicly. It doesn't have any, let's say, personal information. The question is it possible to use Education Lab in the next few days? Maybe there is like impossible to finish things today. I would say yes, but the problem is that this lab would be only accessible today until the end of the day. Because I see that timestamp was set in basically for the 6th of March. Tomorrow is 5th of March, but we need to take account the time difference because it's set in another time. So, sorry, long answer. I tried to cut it shorter. The shorter version is if you're given subscription from us today, you can use it today, maybe a bit of tomorrow, but I'm not quite sure at what time it's going to stop. But the day after tomorrow, no, it will be already, let's say, canceled. So just to make sure. But if you have never ever used, for example, in Azure before, you still can register for free of charge. You will be given some credits for a specific period of time, which also will be enough to go through. Although you can run, if you're going to work with Workshop 2, you can run against the quota issues, is basically the amount of symbols that you can send with a specific rate that you can send to the API of GPT-4 or model. that could happen. So for this one, the only way to get around it is basically change the part of the code where the agent is basically the way how the agent runs, because Azure AI Agent Service allows you to or to process like tuple like and go back and forward with the answers, or it allows you some kind of creation of stream, which is like constantly constant stream, let's say, of actions that could be executed, and this could be the issue regarding quota. But that's only valuable. Sorry, it's only applicable to workshop number 2. Okay, let's see how it goes. See people coming in, getting the good. Let's check. I will mute myself for a bit. I also have a questions for a bit of late joiners, those who joined later and required Azure credits and requested Azure credits from us. I just want to make sure that, let's say now everything is working as going on, because from what I see and the amount of requested Azure credits, I don't see anyone. No, I see. Okay, so I see one person pending approval. We'll let this person soon. That was the person who joined us the latest. And also, I'm curious how it goes. So basically, those like 3-4 folks who requested Azure credits from our site recently, just let me know whether everything is working. Okay, let's do that. Okay, more. I will mute myself for a couple of minutes. Yeah, okay, so now we are looking at, so two things. First thing, I just want to double check. I see that 3 folks who requested Azure subscription from us are still did not confirm your participation via email. I just want to make sure that you get the email, it's not in spam folder, and you use the email that basically was used to register your Azure subscription if you had it before, or just the email that you used right now to create new Azure subscription. Okay, sorry about that. Then the next thing. So we have question from folks who are doing workshop number 3. So when you're in an Azure portal and you try to browse into see resource group, it returns an empty list. So now we're going to check why it returns the empty list for you. Okay, so that's basically the question, last 2 questions in the chat. Let me go through it. I will just check what kind of resources already created for you. Just repeating the message for those who request Azure subscriptions. I see that some of you already accepted it. That's great. So now we can proceed with the workshops, but I still see 2 people who didn't confirm it. So please just to double check that you get access so we can move forward. Okay, and now we get back to Jan and Selena regarding workshop 3, empty list for the resource group. Okay. Yeah, so for Jan and Selena, I'm checking right now whether I can see your resource groups or not, and then we get back to you, okay? Yes, for Jan and Selena, we check in because I want to understand whether I see the resources provisioned for you or I just see like overview. So if I see resources, I can go into and then basically see what you see. If not, then I will check, okay? That's for Selena and for Jan, if I pronounce your name correctly. Okay, so for Jan and Selena, if pronouncing name correctly, unfortunately, I couldn't see, let's say, I see only your subscription number, but I don't see what inside of it. So the thing is, what I really want to see is basically, I think would be really, really useful is if one of you are open to share your screen. So do a thumbs up. So if you want, we can do, but then in case with like you both using let's say our Azure subscription, right? So just to make sure that you're not showing any confidential information to the outside world if it's your personal one. So let's do the following.
Check on.
Yeah, check. I mean. Or there is another thing. So for Jan and for Selena, I just want to make sure that you executed the first step. And the first step was to deploy Azure resources. Because if you don't have Azure resources deployed, it's basically the first button in the list. If you don't have it, it means that nothing is created. That's why you don't have a resource group. That's why your list could be empty. And by default, it deploys a resource group. Within this insights group, it deploys a bunch of Azure AI, Azure OpenAI services, and it also deploys a database. So that's why probably you are not capable of connecting to the database because it's not there. Just to make sure that the deployment went successful, and its deployment went successful, then you will get your subscription populated with the resource group created for you. And within this resource group, there would be basically all the instances of what you need to run the workshop. Just to double check with you.
Yes, yes. So I did that. I did the deployment. And so I do see the name of the resource group. It's just that under it, first there was absolutely nothing. And now I have only one of the files or resources there. So that's the Azure OpenAI one, but not the other two that are listed in the tutorial. Oh, you're muted. Or
Oh, I'm sorry, I was talking. What I want to make sure, like when you do Azure deploy, it takes some time. So first it creates a bunch of Azure OpenAI services. Then it creates some network between them, as far as I remember. And only after that, it creates a database. So it takes time. For me, I think when I ran it first time, it was like 10 minutes. And second time when I ran it was like approximately 15 minutes. Maybe the resources are still processing, still in the process of being created. It also could be the issue. So we just, let's say, waiting for it to be created yet.
yeah, it might be, especially considering that the one showed up later. So
Yeah.
could make sense. Okay, thank you.
So that's what you can also do. So when you are at your Azure portal, when you are in your resource group, just a second, I at the same time, like we're talking to you, just jumping into my own and just checking how it's gonna look like. Okay, just give me a second. So basically, when in your Azure portal and you go to the give me 1 second. I need to go out from that. So you go to your, let's say, subscription. In the subscription, you get the resource group located for you. And then it's usually in this portal, it has some information about your resource group. And if any of the resources are in process of deployment yet, it also say to you that like the deployment is still going on, just to make sure. That's why I guess that's the issue. So the resources were not created yet for you. Just requires some time. Although if it was an error, usually in the upper right corner, you get some spaces for notifications. You get this, like a bell. It's basically shows you all the notification that you receive. And if something fails, then you're gonna have there a notification that the deployment failed. So in this case, you will know that something went wrong. So we can investigate it as well.
Yeah, I don't have any notifications there.
Okay.
I also don't see any like progress bar or anything like that for the resource group.
Okay, so usually it's not a progress bar. It's not how we call it, TDQM, or it's just saying that it's in the process of creation. But just let me check as well. So what I'm doing right now, I'm starting deployments in my own resources just to see how it goes. Okay, and then just to show you how it looks like in case something failed to be deployed. I will just share it in a couple of minutes, I guess. Okay, let's see. And I also curious. There was another person who was also had the same issues. So, do you have the same story, or it's now different for you? Let's check. I will mute myself for a second. Okay, so as soon as you click on this Azure Deploy button, it's for Workshop 3. Getting back, so I see some things are popping up. For those who are working with Workshop 3, and you have these issues with Azure login credentials, probably because all resources were not deployed yet on time from Azure. So how does it work? When you press this Azure Deploy button, underneath there is basically a script that creates, in the subscription that you received from us, it's create a resource group under the specific name. From what I see, sorry, I'm talking and clicking at the same time. Just 1 second. So as soon as you click deploy to Azure, it's asking you to choose the specific region for deployment. So usually we allocate it, if you're located in Western Europe, we just usually will pick up West EU region. But the situation is that not all resources are available right now in all locations. That's why when you click on deploy to Azure button, while following instructions for workshop number 3, part 0, deploy the resources, it says, note, since we're using text embedding 3 small model, pick one of the following regions for deployment. And then you have the list of regions. I would say, I think the more or less, let's say, version at least that I tested personally was East US, East US 2, and West US. So that's to answer a question, which region to pick up for the deployment. It's workshop 3, part 0, deploy the resources, deploy to Azure. Okay. And I'm checking right now basically what it creates underneath. Just give me 1 second. I mute myself. I'll get back to you. Okay, so workshop number 3. Don't worry, like if you miss any steps, don't worry. Just getting back to it step by step. Don't worry. So workshop number 3. I ask you first to install pgadmin because you will need it during that. As soon as you install pgadmin, you just open it. You don't need to do any other actions. You're getting back to the workshop. The first step in the workshop is to click on the button deploy to Azure. When you click on this button, it redirects you to your Azure subscription and it asks you a bunch of questions. So one of the question is which region it has to be deployed to. There is a list of regions below. I recommended to use East US, East US 2, or West US. That's at least that I personally tested for this workshop. I don't know about the rest of them. Then it's also, I see, ask you to provide, so it's ask you, okay, it's ask you for the region, you give the region. It also asks you to provide admin password for your database, for the instance of the database that you're going to deploy. Note it down because this is, let's say, the admin password is basically the way to administrate everything in the database. You can remove this database, you can update it, you can drop some tables, like you can do whatever you want as an admin, which gives you a lot of like flexibility, but at the same time, you should be really cautious what you're doing. So as soon as you click on this button, it starts doing deployment. And what I see, it creates for you in your subscription, it creates a resource group. And your resource group would start with rg-learn-postgresql-ai- and then the name of the region. So that would be the name of your resource group. It would be created for you automatically. So it means when you go to your Azure portal to subscriptions, inside of the subscription, you will see a resource group. Resource group will start with rg, which stands for resource group rg-learn-postgresql-ai- and then the region of your choice. And then within this resource group, then there would be the following resources provided. I'm just checking the infra part of the repository. So yes, you will be deploying this the database, the PostgreSQL database. And you will also deploy Azure OpenAI Service. So basically, it has to be, from what I see right now, when deployment is complete, it should be 2 things. It should be Azure OpenAI Service. It will call it something like OAI, which stands for Open AI -learn and then comes the name of your resource group, and then the further information. So for those who are working with workshop 3, for those who press this button to go through to start deployment. And if there are no notifications that the deployment failed, you're supposed to have 2 things inside of your resource group. One would be the database. It would be with this like database symbol, like imitating, basically the database. And the second would be, I don't know exactly what it is. It's hard to describe. The second would be this Azure OpenAI service. So does it answer a question for now? And I also curious for Selena how it goes with it's finished. Do you have these 2 resources in your resource group or not?
No, I still have just this one resource.
Okay, it's database, right? Or OpenAI?
The OpenAI one.
OpenAI, but you still don't have this PSQL database. I just want to check which. So if you have this OEI Learn, you have then resource group name, then you also have the location. So which region you were choosing?
East US.
East US. Okay. So what I think I would recommend, frankly speaking, you can physically remove them in your graphical user interface. If you see your resource group right now, you can just go to resource group and click on delete resource group, which means it's going to delete resource group and delete all the resources it was created. It's usually can take like 8 or 10 minutes, the whole deletion process. And then I would advise you to start, let's say, deployment again. Because in this case, if something happens, then at least we can see what's going on. Okay.
Okay, I can try that.
Sometimes, yeah, sorry, sometimes it works like that.
Yeah, also wanted to ask because you mentioned that it was some kind of already set name for the resource group, but when I was creating it, I needed to create like a new resource group and I gave it my own name. So maybe this is where I went wrong, or?
What I'm doing right now, so I'm right now in this repository of the workshop with instructions. I'm right now looking at setup folder. So you have their folder up, instructions, presentation, and setup. So when you go into setup folder, there is inside of the setup folder, there is an infra folder. An infra folder contain setup.h script. I think no, it's up. So it's not. Sorry.
Yeah, you cannot see that.
Yeah, I think. Wait. Yes, sorry. I'm talking, but I'm not sharing my screen. Just give me a second, please. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Good, great. I will close to make sure there is no personal communication shared for now, because it will be still. Okay, so let's go to that. Yeah, so now we're in this, that's basically the workshop to which you are redirected, workshop number 3, with all the instructions. It says, yeah, it starts with what we were talking about, let's say, deploy to Azure button, and then the next steps with the connection and everything. So what I was looking at, I was looking at this folder setup, because this setup folder contains basically like instructions, resources to do deployment in Azure. And it consists of this setup.sh file, which is basically bash script that initialize the deployment. And it also has a template, let's call it like template. So BTSAP is like Terraform. It's basically provision of infrastructure as a code when you describe in a specific format of the file, or in YAML, in this case, there's a specific type of the file BTSAP, and it basically shows what has to be deployed where. And that's where I was looking basically with the, oh no, I see that it's picking up if I'm check the setup.sha region. Oh, by default it has, this is default setting, by the way, have region is US by default, and then it has region name, rglearn, and then region. Okay. And that's what, because I was thinking it's just picking up this resource group name and set up it's by default. But I guess it was just default setting. If not, then it's okay if you provide your resource group name. But then what I was checking, it was basically creating unique name for your database. So I was just basically looking at these things.
Okay, I understand now. Yeah.
Yeah, so this magic button, that you see, like this magic button is not coming out nowhere. This magic I went, I think, too far. This magic button has specific connection, is basically what it does. It starts this script, bash script, which take this templates, and following this templates, it provision specific resources. It's described what type of database to start, where it's located, how it's like, what's the tier to use for it, which specific like allocations required to this service. I try to explain it simple words, but sounds so complex. Sorry about that. So it's basically a description what to deploy. You also can do it manually via a graphical user interface on Azure. You can just, now I can stop sharing my screen. You can also like click it through, but click it through is nice when you're just playing around and experimenting. If you want to, let's say, to work and do production work on that, it's not doable. Imagine if like all people start just going and clicking via graphical user interface. That's why we create this template, which help us to automate specific processes. And that's how this magic button deploy in Azure pops up. So I'm just wondering, in your case, like, is it now still the resource group is still in the process of being deleted? What is the status of it?
Yes, I haven't deleted it yet. I will just do it now.
Okay. Because as I mentioned, it's although if it didn't create the database for you, then probably it would be faster. But I remember when I was removing it, it was like from 8 to 10 minutes. The thing is, it's a safe way to delete because you delete in resource group, which means everything that was created there would be deleted automatically. So it means nothing going to run and nothing going to incur further cost. So probably not the best advice, but I guess it would be probably the simplest version to do it. Yeah. So let us know how it goes later, okay?
Yeah, I'm just looking how to delete it. For individual resources, there was a button for that, but for the whole group. Oh, here. Okay, I see.
Okay, so now the message for the rest. So I get a bunch of messages for people who finished workshop 1 and wanted to try out workshop 2 or 3. Of course, go for it if you want to. There is still time to do that. If you finished workshop 1 and you feel you're tired, there is no space for you to get something, then we would love to see you in our next event. As I mentioned, regularly we do workshops, and the next workshop will be at the end of March. So maybe you're wondering why we do have 2 events in March. Probably you didn't notice that we didn't skip February. We gradually dragged February into the beginning of March. So that's why we count this event as our February event. There will be one more interesting workshop at the end of March, by the way, given by Julia. So it would be a really interesting topic. So it would be updated soon. That's, let's say, what you need to know for now. And if you're trying workshop 2 or 3, let's see. Good luck with that. Let's see how it goes. And then if you finished, feel free to go. It's already late. It's okay. And if we're doing workshop 2, workshop 3, get tired, get stuck, and need some time, as it said, so today is still going to work. Tomorrow probably is going to work. Again, I see the date, like the deadline I see set to the 6th of March, but it could be 6th of March, not in our time. How we say it? No, it's time zone. Thank you. I'm already forgetting words. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so I will get to answer questions bit by bit as they go. Okay, so there is a question which is, do I have to deactivate or delete anything for coda spaces, or is closing the window enough? You need to delete. So basically, when you're in a coda, when you finish with a coda space, then you can go to the in the browser. You're doing it from the browser. In the browser, there is a let me check. Just give me 1 second. I will open it and show you where it is. Okay, so I think it would be easier to go through. So we go for the coda. So simple options. So when you go just to github.com/codespaces, from the left side in the graphical user interface, it provides you with the current codespaces that you have. And there you can click on it and delete. And I do recommend to delete them just to make sure. If it's free tier, you're just starting out. I think it hasn't to incur any cost if you just idle, but just to be safe. Yeah, please do delete it. So as soon as you're done, delete codespaces. So closing the window would be not enough. It's not going to delete it. Okay, so the thing is, I see the message. If you're going with Jan, I'm going to answer it directly if you don't mind. So while deploying to Azure, if you got an error type, it says subscriptions are restricted from provision in this region. Please choose a different region, which means that in this case, this region is restricted. So then you need to switch on. I don't know which region you used, East US or East US 2 or West US. I would recommend to try different region. So basically, when try to deploy the resources in that specific region, it doesn't allow you to. So in this case, unfortunately, you need to basically redo that.
Haruna, can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I did something wrong in the resource group. The reason is I copy it, but then I replace the variable with US, East US. So do I have to replace the variable or just use the $sign with the region?
No, you don't need to use $sign with the region. No. When you do, so you mentioned when you're in this graphical user interface and when you're choosing the region, right?
Yes.
Yeah. When you choose in the region, you need to provide like the proper name of it. So in this case, you get the okay.
So let's say this time we can change to US East 2, for example. What do you think?
Yeah. You can try it. Yeah. So basically, it said that's that's for that specific service. You're not allowed to, because it's also taken into account where you currently located, and then it can have some limitations. So if you're not located, for example, in the Netherlands, then it gets some limitations for you when you try to do deployments in different like Azure regions. I also see this getting this error now, invalid template deployments. It's insufficient quota mass.
I changed it now to US East 2, and I think now it's working.
Okay. Yeah. So what's happened? So for this workshop 3, you have this PostgreSQL database, and then next to it you have Azure OpenAI service. So within this Azure OpenAI service, there is a model which has to be deployed. The model, which is called text embedding 3 small, it's basically used to create embeddings. It takes the text and creates a vector from it, and this allows further better search through this, let's say, like vector space. So what's happened here, when you have chosen specific region, you start deployment it says that this model requires specific capacity to run. So basically this tokens per minute, it's like how many thousands tokens this embedding model can take in. And if it's more than that, then it's not allowed to you. So in this case, it required like 350 tokens, thousands tokens, and the available capacity is 0, which means it cannot deploy model because the model will not be capable of processing the text that you're gonna send to this model to create vectors from it, basically create numbers from it. That's the reason of this error. So in this case, unfortunately, you need to check and try a different region. But at least good we have something. It's already moving in some direction. So another question, let me go through it. Okay, so workshop 2. So workshop 2, you have the final lab, which is basically, so for the lab, for the workshop 2, you are building agent. And while building agent, you are experimenting with adding different tools. And then at the end, the last step was fantastic. You have all of that now, but how you're going to monitor it, how you're going to know where it's failing. So for this, a really great thing is to add basically the layer, let's say, of monitoring to it. And because we are packed our agent as an app, for the app, we want on Azure, you have this option to use like log analytics, and log analytics allows you to get tracing. What tracing is basically knowing at which part of running of your agent, what happens, and it can help you to unfold what the issue was bit by bit. So I see that when you're trying to create the following this steps for tracing this application insight, okay, I checking right now the error that you mentioned, failed to create log analytics workspace, and it says, okay, it's missing subscription registration. Subscription is not registered to your namespace operation insight. Okay, let's check. So basically, it's not capable of creating this log analytics workspace because it's missing that one. Just let me check. Okay, so that was the last question for workshop 2. Okay. Okay, so for this workshop 2 lab 4 question, I just want to make sure when you, okay, so you're following this, I'm seeing right now. So it's the tracing using application insights is basically the part of Azure documentation. And it shows you how to create the tracing and then give the, and then continue forward. So I see it's basically prompting you first to create this new application insights, and that's where you can get, that's where you get in this. It's not right, use namespace or separation insight. Okay. I'm just checking. So for this one, I need to check it because I think I checked everything except because it didn't contain any exercises. I didn't run this specific piece of it. But basically what it's saying, like if you're doing it via graphical user interface, that's what I suppose you're doing. Oh, by the way, which region do I using? Let's check. Maybe this feature isn't still in preview. Maybe this feature to basically create this log analytics is not available in this region yet. It also could be. And that's why it's missing specific components. Because I see it's, so you go into Azure AI Foundry. It's like the space where you can operate with all the models. And then you get info. That's where you can create applications with resource name to enable trace for your application, basically. So yeah, the question is which region it was.
So for me, it's West US. It was just default level.
Yeah, it was first yes, okay, default. Let's check. I'm just wondering. Because it's still in preview, that's why it could be that it requires. Okay, so what do I see? So application insights, when you want to create the resource, it required first to have Azure Monitor, which means that, and that's, I guess, that's why you get Microsoft Operational Insights error. That's, I'm just thinking out loud right now. I couldn't guarantee that it's 100% option, but that's what it could be missing. Let me just check quickly the documentation for the application insights. Log analytics. Because maybe first it's supposed that you create an Azure Monitor, and then Azure Monitor creates inside of it this like log application instance. It could be like this, just to double check, okay? I mute myself for a second. Oh, so regarding this tracing part, I'm just checking basically what is there. So what I see that for Azure AI Agent, you have enterprise features, and enterprise features would be or work with specific resources or do tracing with application insights. That's exactly the documentation that you're following right now, tracing using application insights. Then you have content filtering, use virtual networks. Because it's enterprise feature, it could be that it's not available for educational subscription. It could be, although I could be wrong. But so far, what I see is that when it tried to create this resource, it requires another resource on which it's based on, and that's why it's giving you back this error. But for now, I would say I'm just guessing. I need to check it more thoroughly. But I think it could be because of the enterprise feature thing. Okay, sorry. Olga, again,
Yeah.
I'm still checking this because I'm curious whether it's like enterprise version or something. So yeah, basically I just check, again, based on the documentation available in Azure right now. So application insights with open telemetry, that's what you intend to use, which allows you tracing. So you make a call from Agent when it goes, So basically for all services. And the first thing is Azure Monitor Application Insights is OpenTelemetry feature of Azure Monitor. So it's supposed that you have first an Azure Monitor deployed, and then you use in one of its features. So I guess when you try, if you don't have Azure Monitor deployed, then when you try to use this, it's not available. So that's at least what I see now. But what I would really say to you, what I would like to do, I would like to check the I would like to check it and try it later. Not now because like we have less than 40 something minutes left. Or maybe I will if there will be not a lot of question, I'm just curious to try it out and set it up and see whether it works or not. Okay. So I think we can just get back to it because I also now curious, can you use it? It's still preview feature, but I'm curious, can you use it or not? And will it fix it if you just deploy the Azure Monitor instance and then use it from that part? Okay, so I'm going to Zoom now to stop sharing my screen. Okay. I'm sorry, quick question, Olga. It was West yes, right? For this for log analytics workspace creation for tracing. Just let me know. I think you said it was default, but just to double check, because what I'm doing right now, I'm deploying Azure AI Foundry to check whether I can create it or not. Oh, cool. So I see the message from, I guess it was, could you scroll it down for a second?
There is nothing more.
Okay, so there was a, Jan, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna say here, so you're right now connecting from using Azure Shell, you're connecting from Azure Shell to the database, and the message that you sent is really good message, because what it's saying first, it gives you some warning. For now, you don't need to focus on it. So it says some of the features couldn't work. And then it's ended up saying cases, and then it shows you error. Basically, it says that you connected to database and the database is ready to work with it. So, which is really fantastic, because it means that finally the resource is created in Azure, and now you can interact with these resources using this shell. So basically, for now, as soon as you get this message, just follow the further instructions, and that's what you're going to do right now. In this shell, you can directly interact with database using PSQL. So that's a really good sign. So this is a really good thing that you get it. Congrats on that. It was a long day, but we got it. Because if the first step is working, then the connection from BGAdmin will work as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the workshop 2, Lab 4 tracing, what I'm doing right now, I'm creating an Azure AI Foundry resource the same way as it was created for the workshop. When you're creating it, you're saying, I don't need any tracing, because it's basically ask you what type of, do you want to use your own resources, which is already created in your resource group, or you want to create a new one. So for back then, when I was setting up the parameters for deployment, I said I don't need it. And now I'm wondering whether I will be capable of basically creating this. Okay, deployment is complete. I'm just checking right now the Foundry. I'm just going to Azure AI Foundry now for a second. Yes, now I'm creating the project. For example, now. Yes. I mute myself for a second so you don't hear my keyboard. Okay, so workshop number 2, lab 4. It's almost like outside of the lab 4. This is like the additional things. So lab 4, when you want to trace basically the actions of your agent, what I did, I followed, I just created, let's say, Azure AI Foundry. Within it, I created Hub and I created project. And when I was setting it up, I followed the same steps as was done in, let's say, in automatic deployments, whether in the moment of setting up, the log analytics were not chosen. And guess what? I get the same error. I also get the error failed to create log analytics workspace. It's also saying missing subscription registration. And then it's give more details and said, go to this. It provides you with more links. It's a small message. You can click it, then it goes to the whole message. And it's basically walk you through. So my guess for now, just looking at it, again, it's my guess, is that if you don't set up log analytics during the original setup, it could be that additional steps are needed after to basically have it. Otherwise, maybe it's a better way when you just setting it up, also add it as a resource. So basically, in this case, what you need to do is to modify the, just give me a second, I will open it. I will open the file. So yeah, Foundry, get the same. I'm just checking, or as an option, there are also advanced settings. I'm also checking advanced settings right now. If I go with advanced settings, okay, so what I'm doing right now, I'm in this part of trying to create a log analytics workspace. And while creating, I create a new, I click on advanced settings, and I'm just checking, okay, it just returns my subscription, my resource group, the region where I'm in, and it's also give me the ability to create new log analytics workspace. So if I click create on it, let's check whether it's gonna do something or not. Not, I get the same error. Okay, yeah, so for now, my raw guess is that it has to be set up while you setting up the Azure AI Foundry. So in this case, the deployment template should be updated to add this as a part of AI Foundry deployment. Because the thing is, I did two, and when I created Azure AI Foundry, and in the beginning of its creation, I added that I want to use log analytics. It's pick it up, and so by default, it's created for me, so I can use it. But if I created first Azure AI Foundry, and after that I want to edit, it's not allowing me to do that. But keep in mind, the tracing is in preview, which means it's still, let's say, a feature that Azure is working on. So that's what we can get. Just keep this in mind. So if you see preview, it means that we are testing it, we're trying it out, we will see how it goes. Maybe they will update it later. But it's also remind me, so for example, so now it's Azure AI Foundry to, like with this playground for the, sorry, I'm talking to you and also looking at Julia at the same time. So for example, when you're setting up the Azure Machine Learning service, it's also by default requires blob storage, Key Vault, also like log analytics workspace, and then it asks you or create new or to provide your own already created. And if you say no, I don't want to use any others, or for example, I'm not permitted to, something like that, and then if you say I don't want to set up the log analytics now, then it's impossible to edit later. So it could be the same flow, but again, it was X amount of years ago. A lot of things can change as well. Let's see how it goes. Oof, I'm just reading the messages in the meeting. Cool. Some people completed different workshops. Fantastic. Cool. Cool. I'm really happy to read it. Fantastic. Okay, so I think the strongest people left with us. So we have approximately 27 minutes to go. How the things are going? Where are you on your workshop? I'm just curious. Okay, so the question for the workshop number 3. Let me show you. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so that was the question for workshop number 3. So when you try to connect pgadmin to your Azure database, where to find the host name. So I will show you in the where exactly it's located in the instructions, and then you will need to use your own screen. I will show you where it is. So I'm going to share my screen now for a second. I will show it's a little bit more complex than just resource group name. It's a specific connection string. So let's go. So I'm right now in the instruction. So workshop number 3, instructions, and there is the setting up pgadmin. So which you're following, and it's basically walk you through. You go to your Azure portal, you go to a resource group. In this resource group, you're going to have 2 services. Don't look at that service. We're not going to use it because we're not using, I guess, yeah, we're not using it. So there will be 2 services using your name. And then when you go to the, so when you go into to your database, when you click into this Azure database for PostgreSQL here, so you will have the different name, but it would be starts the same PSQL learn and then your region and then some numbers, letters. When you go in there, you're gonna go to settings. So it's within Azure portal. When you're in your resource group, you're clicking on your database. Within database, you have settings. You're going to connect. You picking up the proper name for your databases because default name is something different. You picking up cases. That's the name of your database. And here you have your host string. So that's what you need to copy. It starts with PSQL learn, and then it follows with your region, some further letters, numbers, .postgres, .database, .azure.com. That's what you need to copy. So basically, you need to copy. This is the string that you need to copy, starting from PSQL. That's what you need. That would be a connection. Then user in pgadmin would be also pgadmin. The port would be the same. The database name would be the cases, and the password would be the passwords that you chose for your database. That's it. So, and here when you click on this pgadmin 4, it's basically open up the whole, like it's also have like provision some of the instructions, and that's to say like that's your host name, that's your database, that's your username, that's your password, and the port. So this is the way to connect to your database. So you say hostname, that's the name on the server where your database is located. That's the name of your database. That's the user to show that as a user you are allowed to access it. Then the password, and then the port. This is like the connection port for a database. So yeah, that's where your host name would be. So it would be different in your case. PSQL learn probably would be the same, but the rest would be different up to here, and then it will like finalize with Postgres database Azure.com. Okay, I will be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, so we have 13 minutes left. In 3 minutes, we would be slightly rounded up things. So I would say you have 3 more minutes to do something, and then we're gonna start rounding up. So I'll briefly go basically really quickly about workshops. And if you got stuck somewhere on a specific part of the workshop, give you some tips and hints. And that would be it for today. It was a really, really long day, and I'm really happy that you stayed with us and was a part of this event. So, okay, I just give you, I have to shut up myself for 2 minutes. Okay, wonderful people. I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you now. Maybe you're in the middle of something really interesting and it's not working, and you finally can exchange comments with the resources that you have. That's great. However, we need to round up. It's already like a lot of time. Then that's what we do. So we have 10 minutes. So I'm sorry, I just got a personal request. Is it possible still to get an Azure Pass? I'm so sorry, but for now it's 10 minutes left. So like the activation window is already passed. I'm so sorry for that. But if you decided to go with the workshop 2 in the beginning, then it could happen. Otherwise, like just the activation window is already like I don't have like access to it anymore, so I can approve you even to get it. So sorry about that. So let's now quickly look back what we've done today. So today there was a part of this fantastic Global AI Bootcamp event, the global event. If you just go to the Global AI Bootcamp website and you can look at it, it like happens in like so many countries in the world, and some countries have even some of them, so which is really cool. So you were provided today with a keynote, which I highly recommend you to watch. Watch it, please. There is a Guido van Rossum here, and also other fantastic folks working, or for Microsoft, or folks working for, let's say, Thursday Cloud, and doing like lots of fantastic job for global AI community. There were 3 workshops. All the workshops were created by global AI folks. So it could be folks from Microsoft or for other companies who are part of it. We're really thankful for them because usually we provide, let's say, our workshops with our workshop givers. This time we're just distributing it to the, let's say, so you can try also workshops of other folks. So the workshop 1 was really simple. It was basically just introducing you with the capabilities of different multimodal models. This was interaction using using your basically GitHub account, GitHub models, and using the Microsoft Copilot. That's where you were interacting with them using text, using audio. And then I think the most astonishing part of Microsoft Copilot was basically the listening part, when it's just listen to you and you can chat with it and you can just, it's sometimes it's feel a little bit like weird, like to whom I'm talking to. Anyway, that was the first part. It didn't require any coding experience, just communicating, like conversing in your language. And then there was workshop number 2, which is really, really interesting. It's about basically building an Azure agent, leveraging the Azure AI Agent Service for Microsoft, which is from Azure, sorry, like still Microsoft, which is what was really interesting, because during this workshop, you were using different tools, you were sending different instructions to LLM, and then different actions were done, which is basically, let's say, doing really simple analytics, creating simple reports that otherwise require knowledge of SQL and specific visualization knowledge. And if you don't have this knowledge, it's pretty hard to do. So that's what it was about. For this workshop, I would say it's really nice to see that the whole SDK was created for that. So then you can converse with it from using Python, basically. So the whole Python library was created for that, which was fantastic. And before that, if you want to do something like that, you need to write a lot of code. And now with this, like basically in 50 or 60 lines of code, you can have like a running agent. Although the question of evaluation of this agent, basically tracing the each actions, because it's a lot of components, it still remains open. And that's why it's still in preview. So some of enterprises can test this, let's say, can test its functionality. And then you have the third workshop, which was really fun as well. So the third workshop was about using PostgreSQL flexible server on Azure and using it together in combination with Azure OpenAI services. So the whole workshop was basically communicating, creating, setting up a database, populating it. That part was done using just the shell, so the bash shell running in your Azure environment. And then the second part of the workshop was to interacting with database using pgadmin that you installed on your laptop or personal computer. And through doing this, you were basically can explore how to add all the text, because the database was populated with chunks of text. So then you were using embedding models. So you were taking these chunks of text, you were creating embeddings, and then while having these embeddings, you were doing basically different search and retrieval of specific information you're looking for. And that's where you are seeing the power of, let's say, more extended type of search and retrieval. And then with like progressing with each step and adding specific things to it, you are seeing that, oh, now, and by the way, using SQL for that, because you were interacting with pgadmin using this just SQL query editor. By doing that step by step, you notice that with more, let's say, useful information, with doing the, let's say, linking different chunks of information in a specific way, because the last option was also using re-ranking and using, no, it was not the last one, the previous, and the last one using combination of graph and re-ranking. You see how the results are improving. So it was, we were working with a database of legal like use cases when something happened, for example, like leakage of water, and then the apartment was destroyed, and then who's going to, so it was like all legal actions. So it's a huge amount of text. It's a terrific amount of text, and it's really hard to find something, because if you're going to just like look for water leakage, probably it's return something to you. But if you're going to look for water leakage that's damaged this, then of course it gets 0 results. And then by improving, by using embeddings and making the search and retrieval more and more sophisticated, you get better and better results. So in a specific moment, we just basically get from 40% to like almost 70% of accuracy on retrieval, which was fantastic. So that was the workshop number 3. As I mentioned, those who get Azure credits from us today, it works today. So maybe it's going to work tomorrow during the day, maybe in the first half of the day, again, during the time difference with those who provision us with these subscriptions. but it was like the day after tomorrow is gonna stop working. So if you want to try out some stuff, you still have time to try out some stuff. So I guess that's it for today. The next event would be at the end of the month, as we mentioned. So let's see how it goes. The next workshop would be online. It would be fully online, or you want to run it
I would
hybrid?
expect online.
Online. Okay, great. So the next workshop would be at the end of the March, at the end of March this month. And then there would also, the event in April would be really interesting. It would be, I guess, a combination, or it would be in person or hybrid. We will see how it goes. So yeah, looking forward to. I do hope that you learned something new today. So I guess last 2 minutes, if you want to share anything, to say something, yeah, just drop us a message and just unmute yourself and say. And otherwise, we're gonna stop the stream in 2 minutes, and we're gonna also close the Zoom meeting. And also really thankful to folks from Global AI community who are supporting us today and helping us with Azure buses. Okay, so we get a lot of great messages. Thank you so much as well. Yeah, we'll see you in our next event. So I think this can conclude our session. So please stop the stream and